Guys, welcome to Box, the football talk show powered by Sportology TV. My name's Uni. That's my co-host, Ali Drew. Before Ali introduces our guest this week, I'm going to do a quick recap on last week's show, which we had two of the biggest YouTubers, the footballing YouTubers out there. First of all, the United Stand's very own Flex joined us to talk about his beloved Manchester United, talking about the incredible Luke Shaw, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Paul Pogba. Can United even challenge next season? You know, we spoke about a lot of things, so definitely check that out. We also spoke to DT, if you probably would know his name, someone from AFTV, another channel with 1 million subscribers. Talk about his beloved Arsenal. He gave a preview on the big North London derby. I'm sure he was very, very happy this weekend. But yeah, this week, Ali, who have we got on?
Yes, we are officially his official lucky charm, because every time he's come on the show, they've won every single game since. So just saying, we're obviously the lucky charm. But on this week's episode, we are joined by a presenter who you will see on Sky Sports. He's also on the podcast Play On. We are delighted to be joined by Jaydee Dyer. Jaydee, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. More than anything else, that was an intro. I actually watched the episode last week, or when you previously did it with Flex, and that was cool. So you are bringing a lot clearly to North London and to Man United a little bit as well. So
the thing is, that's our selling point. So that's all you. If you want your team to win, just get in touch with us. We'll do a quick show and your team will be winning.
Hey.
How are you? How's life?
Life is good. I guess I can say it now. I won an award, which would be last month, the SJ Awards for Ones to Watch and Broadcasters. Yeah, my mum tells me I got to talk about my achievements a lot more. So, yeah, man, life is good. Life is good right now. As everyone else, I'm just kind of fighting and waiting for things to go back to normality. But other than that, man, can't complain. Got health, right? So all good.
Jaydee, just talk to me about your sort of background. How did you get involved in this whole media game?
I'm actually a student of journalism, so I actually studied it. At undergrad, and I had a master's in it. But at undergrad level, between undergrad and postgrad, I went to America. So I went and became a local college reporter in the States, because basically nobody was hiring me here with long hair and a beard on TV. So I thought I'd go and try and hone my craft abroad, stay true to who I was, and kind of make my mistakes. And I worked for like a local television station that had a town probably about, I want to say 80 to 100,000 people. So like it was really small, but I loved it, loved the experience. I moved away when I was like 21 now. And it was just life-changing. When I say life-changing, I mean like I grew up as a man. When you live in an apartment by yourself and all the rest of it, like living with your friends at college or university is cool, but like working and having to balance everything and balance bills, and like it was amazing. But I grew up as a person, as a broadcaster, and I encourage a lot of people, if you get the opportunity, move away, because you find out a lot about yourself and you find out how much you really.
Saying that, Jaydee, you know Ade, and someone who works with you on the transfer, he did the same
thing.
My guy.
I've
known Ade for years. Like we were involved in boxing together about 5-6 years ago, and he used to fly out to Africa to do boxing shows. And at that time, like, you know, it was always the bigger picture that you guys were probably looking at, and that's the advice that you're giving: fly out, you know, work for whoever you can out there, and then you probably come back and find something in those. Yeah.
The best thing you can do is invest in yourself. If I could have said to myself, okay, cool, like, none of the broadcasters want to hire me. Like at that point, I'd actually won like national competitions and like had a degree in it, had done work experience on most of the things. I'd been like published in like the Times and the Guardian, and I thought I'd just walk into a job. Like, I thought to myself, this would be easy. I should just get a job like that. And it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. What I've learned about this industry is connections to everything. And until you can kind of give your value as to who you are, no one's really going to hire you. It sounds weird to say, but no one's really going to hire you. You have to kind of go and earn your stripes. And so I just decided to earn my stripes where no one could see me, and kind of make my mistakes and develop who I was. I look at it like I went to the gym, but I just went to the gym like a long way away from everyone. You know, sometimes you just meet someone, you're like, bro, how did you get so big all of a sudden? Like I just went quietly, just went and did my reps quietly somewhere else, and then just came back, and all of a sudden it was like, yeah, the opportunities are here.
I like that.
Because you're on Sky Sports. Was that always the goal, the dream to get on to sort of mainstream media? Sky Sports is such a huge platform.
I mean, Ali, if I'm being honest with you, like I only found this letter I wrote to myself. I didn't always think it was my dream. My actual dream when I was younger, I wanted to be a DJ. But I found the letter I wrote to myself when I was 14, saying that I was going to be on Sky Sports in 10 years and like I was going to be like the Monday Night Football presenter, and I was going to work as a reporter for Sky Sports News. And like, okay, I got signed when I was 25. So I guess it wasn't 10 years, it was like 11, but like, I still have to take that into account. I hold myself to a very high standard. And that's something I say, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it no matter what. But I am extremely proud of like the journey that I've been on and the sort of ways that I've been tested and come through it as well. So I have to really understand and respect and appreciate the space that I'm in now, because as you say, Ali, it is like the best on this side of the world. So yeah, it's an incredible opportunity and it's something I don't take for granted.
Listen, massive congratulations on your award, and big. Hopefully, you have a huge success going forward as well, man. Good seeing yourselves and Adi and these sort of people doing well on TV, man. Let's talk about football. The reason why we brought you in. Let's talk about one of the highlights of the weekend. Arsenal won on the weekend in the North London derby, but the biggest talking point was that goal by Eric Lamela. Man, when you talk about techers, that was pure and utter techers. I think that's probably going to be one of the best Premier League goals ever. And talk to me about it, man, JD. Yes.
I always think, like, when I think about derby goals, like, immediately what comes to my mind, I think about Rooney's overhead kick against Man City. I actually think about Paul Gascoigne scoring that goal against Arsenal in the FA Cup, but I have never ever seen anyone. First of all, I just have to give Eric Lamela credit for trying it, and then executing it is even more credit, because there isn't actually, if you look at it back, there isn't actually that much space for him to actually do what he's actually done. Like, everything has to align perfectly. He has to hit it with the right amount of sort of pace. He also has to be technical in terms of going through Partey's legs, but also going around David Luiz. And it's just execution at the highest class. Now, the other side of Lamela's game was obviously what you saw in the second half. Yeah. But in terms of the goal, man, I'd beg anybody to tell me a better goal that they've seen in that North London derby, especially in my lifetime anyway.
So guys, make sure you comment and just tell us what sort of goals you
think. Tell us if you think there's a better goal.
Yeah, better goal than that, because it's very difficult. I was scratching my head the other day trying to think of it. But yeah, JD, talk about the game, man. It was Spurs to what they've been this season. It just sort of epitomizes what Spurs have been playing like. There's bits of great attacking play, but defensively, they've just not been there this season. Talk to me about the game.
I think from twofold, you kind of have to look at it as Spurs from one aspect. They went into the game with all of the form, right? Winning streak, talking about they had all of their players sort of come back into form. Harry Kane, even though he had an injury scare in the middle of the week, he seemed like he was, let's say he was classified, if you're starting, you're fit as far as I'm concerned. And you have Son and you have Bale who are just hitting form. So you'd think to yourself that they would go, regardless if it was home or away, and dominate, especially with no fans in the arena. You would think to yourself, like, this is our opportunity to go to the Emirates and actually win. But I think I was just a little bit disappointed. I think I can't talk for Jose Mourinho because that's irresponsible to talk for somebody else. But I think he took a lot from what he saw in the reverse fixture, which was that Arsenal were kind of easy. They led Arsenal one and then hit Arsenal on the break. And they were so clinical in doing that. And he probably took a lot of heedance and the fact that he's done that to Arsenal for years upon years upon years. But this isn't the same Arsenal teams that he would have played previously. And I think he just needed to kind of respect the space that his team was in and understand that they were the better team on paper. They were the better team in terms of the form guide. They really should have gone into that game and said, look, we're going to assert our dominance on this game from the beginning. But credit to Arsenal, because the transition that Mikel Arteta has made in that team in the last 12 months, defensively, bravery, controlling of possession, I can see the changes, and they have a genuine gem in Martin Odegaard. Genuinely, I think he's unbelievable. And if they can get the best out of the players and keep the sort of squad they've got together right now and improve defensively, of course, they could really do some good things next year.
I think with Arsenal,
somebody didn't actually start, dropped from the main 11 was Aubameyang because he was late, I think, for training. What do you think of that? Do you think that that's the way it should be?
Yeah, 100%. I spoke to Mikel Arteta a couple of weeks ago, And I spent about 15, 20 minutes talking to him. And one thing he definitely adheres to is discipline, like keeping the same standard for everybody, whether you're a young player or a senior player. And if you notice with Arsenal's team, there isn't many players, maybe apart from like Partey, Xhaka and a few others, that are genuinely in their prime. Like a lot of the players are either really, really young players, or you have senior players like David Luiz, Willian, Aubameyang, Lacazette, who I'm not saying are out of their prime, but are seasoned vets. They would have had international football, would have played at the highest level. And so I think more than anything else, he would have been disappointed in the fact that one of his seniors, not also one of his captains, is not adhering to what would be just genuine ground and house rules. I think you've all seen the Lampard sort of memes and the tweets and the posts now of the standards that he expected from his Chelsea players. These are common themes within football clubs. I think Sir Alex was probably one of the first people I knew in terms of as a manager that came in and would have a certain standard. If you didn't fit into that standard, it doesn't matter if you were the best player or the worst player, you would push you out. Look at David Beckham. So it's things that sort of propel excellence, and you have to have a standard and you have to set a standard and everybody has to adhere to it. So I respect Arteta so much more for, even though it's arguably his best player, leaving him out of the team.
Yeah, talking about Sir Alex, I watch a lot of Rio Ferdinand's YouTube channel, and he talks about it all the time, and like they're just discipline in that team, which is why that team was just so successful in what they did. They were all ultimate professionals. They'd all train extra hard, they'd all work extra hard, and they'd all arrive on time. I just think it's basic disciplines to become that elite player. You've got to do it. But yeah, it's weird with Arsenal. Like I was just going to say, consistency is key in any sort of league. Arsenal haven't had that for years, and this season a lot of teams really haven't had it. There's been very, especially like you look at the top four, they've been very inconsistent. One for about 3 weeks, United were on top, or 2 weeks, United were on top. Tottenham were on top. It's only been Man City throughout the whole season that have remained consistent after the little slump at the start. Do you feel like Arteta has it in him, or does he need to bring in players that can sort of bring that level of consistency into the team?
I think you're starting to see Arteta sort of, you have to give, I think we're so harsh on managers now, and we don't give them enough time to sort of implement their tactics and their players that they want to bring into their sort of squad so that they can deliver what they want to see in terms of their philosophies. We're so quick to be like, okay, one window you're out, one window you're out. I even think, and this would be a little bit controversial, and I understand Chelsea's methodology because it's led to success. If you look at Chelsea's sort of record, they've led to success over the last decade or so. But I think managers are just short-lived, and Lampard should have been given more time. I think there's numerous managers, like even beginning of the season or halfway through the sort of slump, people calling for Jurgen Klopp's head. This is the manager that, no two ways about it, 12 months ago everyone was saying is the best manager in the world. So I just think you sometimes got to understand that this is life. So there's ups and there's downs. I'm having good days and I'm having bad days like everybody else. You're going to go through a good spell in your life and you're going to go through a bad spell. I don't think you should set the standard of when someone is incredibly doing amazing things and saying that is the standard for what they want to do, and when they're not, be like, okay, cool, we need to kick them out the door now. That's just not how you build genuine relationships, and especially managers, it's all about relationships. I think Arteta has been given more patience than I think previous managers, and I think he deserves that because he's a young manager. It's still his first job as a senior coach, and those sort of things, you can see the team transitioning right in front of your eyes. If you can't see Arsenal getting better, then you're not really watching football. But it's, again, how much time are they willing to give him? I think where Arsenal finish this year will apply a lot of pressure to what happens next year. But he should be given at least another 2 windows. He should be given the summer that's coming up now, because he didn't really have a window in terms of in October. And then he should be given at least the January after that so that he can start pushing out the players, as you've seen now with the Kolasinac leaving, the Socrates leaving, Mustafi leaving, and then start bringing in the players that he wants. And you will notice it with the Odegaards, the Ceballos, the Gabriels. They're the players that he clearly wants to integrate into the team. They're the players that he clearly wants to mesh together for a long while. And he should be given an opportunity to see that through.
Well, talking of managers, we do have to talk about Chris Wilder's departure from Sheffield United. And just talk to me about that. Are you surprised? Obviously, they are bottom of the table. Are you surprised by it? Is it the right timing for that to happen?
Shout out to my guy Tim Thornton at Sky, because he actually broke this story. And also Keith James as well. If I don't give them a shout out, they'll definitely nudge me at some point. So, but when the story actually dropped and I read it, I didn't actually believe it at first, because I do believe that there's some people that are, I don't want to say bigger than the club, but integrated into the club. I feel like Arsene Wenger at Arsenal was one of those. Eddie Howe at Bournemouth is another. And I think Chris Wilder at Sheffield United is a third example of that. And I think the most poignant quote I saw this week was from like Neil Warnock, who said, basically, be careful what you wish for. If you look at a lot of these clubs, when they go down, it's so hard to get back to the Premier League. Norwich is probably the only club I've watched for the last few years that's gone up and gone down, gone up and go down. They pretty much should be in a league of their own. They're not quite at this moment in time good enough for the Premier League, but they're way too good for the Championship. They've shown it year after year. But it's amazing for me how you can make such a quick decision and not think about sort of the impact that he's had taking that club from League One to the Premier League and then revolutionizing a system. Because that first year when he came into the Premier League, not only did he bring fresh ideas with the centre-backs overlapping and playing three at the back, and you're sitting there looking at like Basham, Egham, Lundstrom. Who are these players? Like, you're having to do research into where they've all come from and their development. But what I said earlier, it's about relationships. They trust their manager. They trust the boss. They trust the fact that if he's telling me to do something, it's going to be for the benefit of myself and the team. And you saw that last year. I'm not saying that they haven't had a rough, what has it been, October to where we are now, 6-7 months. But I do believe that if you look at the longevity of a relationship and you go out with someone for 5 years and you have a rough 6 months, that doesn't mean you should pack it in. It means you should really look at the totality. You've had a good 4.5 years. Okay, what can we do together to turn around and get ourselves out of this situation? And he should have been given an opportunity, if the team does go down, to get them back to the Premier League. 100%.
Talking about managers, and another one I want to talk about, just because they're playing in the Champions League as well this week, is Chelsea's manager, Thomas Tuchel. Seems to really have, found his feet in the Premier League. What do you make of him? We know that they did a great job against Atletico Madrid. Atletico are high flyers, doing well in La Liga. But it looks like Tuchel's really, making Chelsea play. First of all, at the time, we interviewed a lot of people, Ali, in regards to Frank Lampard's sacking. And I think we were calling it at the time that, fair enough, Frank getting sacked is Chelsea's model, but that's their model that it works sometimes, and it seems to be working now. Thomas Tuchel coming in, it seems to be working. Just give me your sort of thoughts on his couple of games, or his about 10 or 12 games he's been in charge so far.
At this moment, I think he's still undefeated, right? So I think what's so interesting about Tuchel is, if you watch this time in Germany and watch this time in Paris, it was interesting because they were quite diverse sort of experiences. They were quite very different. One, you could see the sort of benefits of what he was trying to do, but I don't think he had the squad to do that in terms of the players and the personnel. And then you sort of look at it 180 and then you see what he does with PSG and you think to yourself, well, that's the furthest they've ever been. And everyone's been talking about Paris for the longest while and saying, oh, look, they need to be Champions League finalists. They need to win trophies. They need to be elite in Europe. And I feel what you're getting right now is this is going to be the testament for whether or not he's actually a top manager and goes on to do great things, or he is just one of those very good development coaches, because you've had two experiences now and we've given you the benefit of the doubt in both. It didn't quite work out in Germany, but we saw the sort of basics of what you were doing. And now you've gone to Paris Saint-Germain and taken them the furthest they've ever been, but they still never quite achieved their goals. You have a squad at Chelsea. Anyone that can turn around and tell me that a Chelsea squad is not fantastic, you're not looking at the depth of that team. Every single player, they have two good players in every position. Every position. Sometimes they have too many players. I think about their centre-backs. They have too many players, as well as the conveyor belt of loan players they've got out there that's still gaining first-team experience. It's crazy if they do not turn all of this potential, all of these young players, all of these players that enter in their prime together into domination. Someone needs to turn around and say, I'm going to be a top manager and turn this team into domination, because they have it all. I don't see a weak link. I think maybe they could get a number 9, but then again, I say to myself, well, Tammy Abraham, when he's given a string of games to show him what he can do in the Premier League. So I feel there is small elements where they can improve, like every team. But I expect Chelsea in the next 12 months, especially next year, to be up there with Liverpool, Man City. No excuses. You have the top manager now. You have the squad depth. You can compete on all fronts. So why aren't you competing? You genuinely, there's no excuses anymore.
Well, this is just a rumour, management. Roy Keane, there's rumour that he's maybe returning to Celtic, maybe.
Huh.
Obviously, he played there, but to become manager. So, what is your views on that? Do you think that is what's going to happen, or do you think it is just a rumor? Obviously, everyone knows Roy Keane. I think he's brilliant as a pundit. He is brilliant. Every time I watch a game, I'm like, I want to see Roy Keane's reaction. He's just the best.
They're going to need a really strong personality to go and take over that Celtic job, because Rangers have now obviously done what they haven't done in 10 years, and that's become champions in Scotland. So you're going to need someone that's going to, number one, be able to handle the media pressure that's going to be on that team next year. And number two, also fill the void that's left by Neil Lennon. Like, I understand that he was not pushed out. Let's say, actually, no, you can say he was pushed out in terms of the sort of agreement, but he's still a living legend at that club, both as a manager and a player. And even though his second spell didn't work out, he's still going to always go down in their legacy. So you're going to need a big personality that's going to be able to understand the depth of pressure that's coming their way, because Celtic have pretty much the same team that they've had for a long while. And for the longest while, they've been able to sort of sell their best players because they've still been head and shoulders above the rest of the league. Now Rangers have gone down to the lowest division, professional division in Scotland, and come back up and now won a championship. Next year is going to be interesting in Scotland. Very, very interesting. And they're going to need a big personality who's going to be able to go head to head with Steven Gerrard in the media. And they're going to need a big personality that's going to be able to handle a lot of the scrutiny and pressure that's going to be on Celtic next year, because the standards that Brendan Rodgers set before he left took this team to a new level of sort of ecstasy. And the fans, I don't want to say they're spoilt, because that's wrong, because you've been dominating Scotland for God knows how long now, but you're now at a plateau where you knew it had to come down at some point, but you still were hoping that you would be bigger than Rangers. And it hasn't quite played out that way. So I think there's a lot of pressure. Do I think Roy Keane would be good for the job? I think I saw what he did at Ipswich, which was one of the best individual seasons I've seen ever in a championship in terms of as a manager. And then you see the opposite side in terms of how it didn't work out, as for example, Sunderland and other clubs. So I think it's going to be interesting. He's a combative personality. There's no two ways about it. He's going to go in and have his own philosophies. Will he be able to get the best out of it? I think it just depends on what Roy turns up. I think it really does. And it depends how much he wants to implement and put his philosophies across, because he does fit the bill for a lot of things in terms of being a big personality, having the history against Steven Gerrard as a player, and now would be good as a coach. And he's proven, like, especially in his time with Ipswich, that he can get the best out of players. So it would be a good link. I would like to see it personally, but that's for the hierarchy in Scotland, man, because they know there's a lot of pressure coming up in the summer.
Jaydee, I want to take this conversation a bit sideways and talk about probably two of the best footballers in the world at this present time, and the big debate that goes on. The big debate used to be Ronaldo versus Messi. At this present time, the debate seems to be Kylian Mbappe versus Haaland from Borussia Dortmund. Talk to me about these guys, man. If you were to pick one player, and it's hard though, because Mbappe can play in sort of 2 or 3 positions in the attacking line. We know Haaland, sort of an out-and-out striker, can play just probably centrally more than anything. But if you were to pick one, who would you have in your team?
Okay. Gosh. Start asking me to choose between my sisters. I would pick. Are you asking me who's the best player in the world, or are you asking me just?
Not yet. No, I'm gonna.
Okay. I think I would pick Kylian Mbappe, and only because you've proven that you can do it at the highest level. And that's not to say that Haaland can't. I just haven't seen you do it in a World Cup. So once I see that, and once I see you perform at that level, and it's going to be harder for you because you haven't got the same quality of players around you, but I think Mbappe announced himself as someone that's going to be definitely on our minds for the next 10 to 15 years, what he did in that World Cup. I still can't believe someone so young was able to do that to world-class opposition. And he's scary quick. Like, he's scary quick. Have you ever seen him? Have you seen him live?
I've not seen him live.
Okay.
No, I've not had the chance to see him.
If you get one opportunity, if you get any, like, when things open up, I'm telling everybody to go and do whatever they wanted to do, because life is very precious at this moment in time. If you're a real football fan and you like what I call speed merchants, look no further than Kylian Mbappe. I promise you, if you think Kyle Walker's quick, if you think Adama Traore is quick, they're quick, very quick players. Raheem Sterling, they're unbelievably rapid. I've never seen anyone eat ground up like Kylian Mbappe. Never in my life. He's so graceful. He's like he's gliding. And it's just scary to see, man. he is a very special talent. And I think Haaland, I think what you're going to see, is those two will dominate the same way Messi and Ronaldo did. I think they'll go back and forth. I think Haaland will kind of convert himself into the Ronaldo, being the best goal scorer that's probably ever walks the earth in Cristiano. And then you'll see as Haaland will do that year after year after year after year. And then Mbappe will just have these magic moments like Messi does that just will sit in your mind and think to yourself, like, just how are you given so much God-given talent? Like, it's incredible. But if I had to pick one, I would pick Mbappe.
That's definitely one of my things. Once things open up, is to watch Mbappe, Haaland. I've been blessed enough to watch all these great players in the last 5-10 years, so definitely on my bucket list. Jaydee, you sort of asked the question yourself just before you answered this question. Best player in world football right now?
There's only one person that's the best player in world football, and it's not Messi, it's not Ronaldo, it's Robert Lewandowski, man. It's Lewandowski. I don't understand how he's been slept on for so long, but I honestly sit sometimes and I just watch him and I'm just like, I used to play. And sometimes you look, like, I've played against some good players. I played against Harry Kane when he was younger. He's tore me apart, in fairness. But like, I've played against some good players played in the Premier League right now. And this is not to try and be like, oh, I could match myself up against Lewandowski, but it's just as the competitive nature when you're watching players, especially because I used to be a centre half, you just watch and you think to yourself, oh, what would he do there? What does he do there? Like, you try and look at little nuances, and he is such a complete footballer. It's scary. There is nothing Lewandowski cannot do. Nothing on earth. Like, he is. I don't want to say it would just be, I don't think there's a more frightening sight in football. And I think that's when I have to turn around and classify you as the best player in the world. I think left foot, right foot, in the air, speed in behind, ability to link up play, clinical. He's just second to none right now in the number 9 position. And I know Harry Kane is up there, and I know you've got Benzema who's still there. Some people say Aubameyang, Firmino, Salah, whoever you want to say. But I think Lewandowski is the best player in the world. And I just think he's so underappreciated because he plays in a world-class team. But I just think he's, it's just sensational, genuinely.
Jaydee, I want to put you on the spot one last time before Ali asks you another question. But
Go on.
Pick me a 5-side team.
Yeah.
From players that you've seen. Past and present. You give me your 5.
Oh man, it's so funny because I always ask people this and I never actually ever thought about it myself. Players, goalkeeper. I think the best goalkeeper I've ever seen is Peter Schmeichel. Yeah. I think he's, just some of the things that I remember, some of the moments growing up. I just think Peter Schmeichel is the best goalkeeper I've ever seen in my life. I think the best centre half, if I was going to have one at the back, would be Rio Ferdinand. I'm making myself sound like a Man United fan, and I'm not. I'm not actually a Man United fan at all.
Join the club, Jaydee. Join the club, mate.
On the left, I would have to have Zidane, just because. I mean, I don't need to say anymore. Zidane is Zidane. On the right, I would have no holding player, Ronaldinho, because I just think at one moment in time Ronaldinho was probably the person that made me. I loved football before when I was a kid, but Ronaldinho made me enjoy watching football. Like, enjoy playing with a smile, and just different level. I think for a 3 or 4 year period, I don't think there was anybody in the world that could have touched him. And my number 9 would have to be Thierry Henry. I think he's the best player to ever play in the Premier League, and I think his greatness lives on. Honourable mentions to Steven Gerrard, though, because you just need if I'm losing and I need someone to lift me up, that's the first person I'd call. So
on the bench, come on.
Just actually talking about Ronaldinho, there was a point in Ronaldinho's career, them 3-4 years, where people would watch him, and even if he was playing a pass that was 5 yards, everyone was like, "Wow!" Like, it was just everything he did. Everyone was just watching Ronaldinho the whole game, and anything he did was just crazy, man.
One of the most iconic moments, I think, in football that people don't give enough credit for is when Ronaldinho was clapped off the Bernabeu. That is, for me, I've never had like hairs like on the back of my, what they say, on the back of your neck, on my arms, all stand up by just watching someone leave a football field. Yeah. And I was sitting, I remember, never forget where I was sitting in my nan's house and I was watching it. And I just thought to myself, like, we're never really going to appreciate this guy until he stops playing, because what I witnessed, what we all witnessed that night was just sensational. And there have been obviously great performances since then. Like I think about Ronaldo against Man United in the Champions League and things like that. But it's just, he was great, unbelievably great. And I think his impact on football is bigger than any sort of goal or any sort of legacy that he left. I think he was just sensational as a person, man.
Jaydee, before we finish, you may have given this answer already, but who is the greatest player that you've ever watched play live? So you've been there and watched and just thought, wow.
It isn't actually Mbappe. The best player I've ever watched live. Okay, so can I give two answers to this?
Yeah.
This is going to sound weird. The best performance I've ever seen, was Jack Wilshere against Xavi and Iniesta in the Barcelona Champions League against Arsenal. That's the best performance I've ever seen from any individual I couldn't believe a teenager was doing that. And I feel like I've got like an age thing where I don't expect like young players to be able to do things, but that was the greatest performance. The best thing I've ever seen live. The best player I've ever seen live, I would say, oh gosh, this is so hard, man. I've seen Cristiano live. Okay. I've seen Cristiano live. Cristiano Ronaldo would be the best person I've ever seen live, 100%. And yeah, he is. When you meet Ronaldo, I know he's over your shoulder. When you see Ronaldo in person, you realize as to what it is about him, as to why he's so great. You know how sometimes you just meet people or you walk past people and they have an individual, like an aura about them, like something that's special, that I say it oozes greatness. He is someone that just a different level. There is nothing on earth that I feel like could deflect him away from any goal that he wants or any situation. And I feel like he handles 90 minutes like that. I feel like anytime there's a defender in front of him or a situation or coming in for a cross or whatever, he doesn't believe in his mind he's going to lose that situation, and he handles things as individual battles. And the best coach, I say it now, Mark Warburton, when I was growing up, best thing he ever said to me was, you win your individual battles one at a time, and then you end up having a great game. And I've taken that throughout my whole life, and I now watch Cristiano Ronaldo and I realize that's all he does. Every single time, whether it's taking somebody on, whether it's making a right pass, whether it's shooting at somebody, he feels like he needs to win that individual battle. And that ethos in life is what separates him from everybody else. He doesn't think about the whole game. He just thinks about those individual moments. And that's why he's so great.
Jaydee, man, it's been a pleasure having you on. It's good to pick your brain. I know you're quite connected in football, so it's always good to pick your brain on footballing topics. But hopefully in the future we get to bring you on again and talk football and just discuss what's going on at the time, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. It was nice to jump on, and we should do a boxing one, man. Boxing's my love. Yeah, boxing's my love, really. Like I love basketball. Basketball's my favorite sport. Boxing is what I really love to watch. Like I just respect it as two individuals and I understand the mental side. Like I did a little bit amateur when I was younger, but like it's like one of the hardest things to do. People think football's hard. Football's nothing compared to boxing. Nothing. I tell people that all the time. There's nothing worse than getting punched in your face and thinking to yourself, I still have to go on. So, yeah.
Punched again.
Yeah. So, yeah, boxing definitely we should do.
No, we talk boxing, man. I could talk about boxing for ages, man. So don't worry.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, Jaydee, top man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolute pleasure, man.
We'll speak to you in the future, man.
See you later.
Thank you.
Take care.
Great to be joined there by Jaydee Dyer, talking all things football, managers, greatest players. Great to have him on the show, and we will get him on the boxing show as well. But stay tuned, guys. We have part 2 of the show coming up where we have another great guest joining us. But please do what you can to support the channel. Subscribe, like, leave some comments, share, whatever you can. We do appreciate it, and we will see you next time.